This video is powered by, as always, entertainment. If you enjoyed this content, consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com/asalways for access to the Patreon exclusive podcast, The Kill Connor Clubhouse, early access to the Cinema Room podcast, being part of polls for future videos, and other early access material. With that said, please enjoy the video. Crackdown 3 is a very, very weird game. It's weird because I can't seem to put my finger on why this game is weird. It just sort of exists. Crackdown 3 was hyped up for years. It's been nearly 10 years since Crackdown 2 launched, and I know the buzz around this game, at least from the fans, has been massive. Plenty of people claiming this was going to be the Xbox exclusive we needed for Xbox to make their comeback. But it's really not that at all. I remember playing Crackdown on Xbox 360. Well, actually, I never had Crackdown, but I did have a demo disc with the demo of Crackdown, and I remember having a blast as a 10-year-old. And so when I saw Crackdown 3 was on Game Pass, I was like, hell yeah, give me some of that. Let's see how this game has changed in the past 12 years. This is going to be some mad shit. And that's really the issue. I found myself with Crackdown 3 having the same fun I had when I was 10. Somehow it took me back to playing that demo over and over and over and too many times. And I just sort of had fun doing stupid shit, driving cars, blowing things up, and I genuinely had great fun. But then I realized it wasn't 2007, this wasn't a new Xbox 360 game coming out, and it was actually a $60 AAA title releasing at the end of the Xbox One's lifespan, and I just lost it. Yeah, it's not that funny. This game is just not good enough, not even a little bit. And I know I'll get the argument, why does it matter? If the game isn't technically good enough, you still have fun with it, so quit complaining and just enjoy it. You always complain, lasers, and now you're even complaining about having fun. Yeah, I mean, I see how this looks. Let me just... I'm not complaining about having fun. I like fun. Yeah, fuck you, I like fun. But just because I had fun doesn't mean the game is good. And this game isn't a game we should just accept lying down. Also, real quick, I don't think I would have been as lenient and had as much fun if I hadn't gotten this game for free on Game Pass. Because, well, $60 for this... that's, bad. My point is that if EA, for example, took Pac-Man and reskinned it and made it their own thing and released it for $60, as much as I love Pac-Man, reselling it in 2019 for $60 would piss me off. So in short, I'm saying Crackdown 3 doesn't feel like a game from 2018 and therefore isn't worth the price tag. But let's get into details. Oh, wait, first, let me thank our Patreon producers, King Richard III, Josh Devillier, and Seth. Thanks, gamers. Anyways, back to the details. The game drops you into New Providence after a nicely animated cutscene, of which we get two in the whole game, one at the beginning and one at the end. The rest of the cutscenes are either in-game or these weirdly animated comic book movies. Now, I have no problem with being creative with your art style, but this is a Microsoft first-party exclusive game, and this... clearly looks better than this.
Cities got hit. Power grids, communications.
So why the fuck didn't Microsoft fund having awesome fully CGI cutscenes for their game? It's just a really odd inconsistency. But as I was saying, you're dropped into the city of New Providence, a retro-type cyberpunk futuristic Tron-looking place, and you take control of Terry Crews. Or one of these guys. But I wasn't going to pick any of these fucking nobodies, was I? The aim of the game from this point is basically to take down the corporation of Terra Nova. They're the bad guys. I didn't really bother questioning it much. Once I started playing as Terry Crews, I kind of let go of the plot. It's not important. Now, this somewhat works like a super downscaled, limited version of the Nemesis hierarchy from Shadow of Mordor. Not Shadow of War, that game sucks. I know the system is the same, but I don't want to reference that one because I don't like it as much as the first one. So we're going with Shadow of Mordor, the good one. Anyway, it works like that with a head leader at the top. She has 3 lieutenants, and each of these have bodyguard type people, and you have to work your way up the hierarchy. In order to get these bodyguards, there are corresponding locations around the city in which you have to complete objectives. And that's it. That's the game. It's all side missions to do boss fights over and over and over and too many times. Now, the base gameplay itself for the content the game is providing is actually relatively fun, which is odd for me to say since the game is a mindless nothing game, and anyone that knows me knows I hate mindless nothing games, but something about this roped me in. Now, it might be because I played the demo of the first game on repeat as a kid, yearning for the day I'd finally play it before forgetting it existed and never buying it, and so there was some innate thing inside me that was finally getting to play what it'd been waiting for. Or maybe they just managed to make the gameplay fun. Either way, I had fun with the actual gameplay itself. So like I was saying before, each of these boss people have their own missions. A killer AI has monorails for you to take over, a head of security has vehicles and weaponry for you to take over and destroy, the chemist has power plants to destroy, and so on. You get the picture. They each have a threshold, so maybe you have to take over 6 monorail stations and you get to fight the AI and defeat it and then move on to the next. Like I said, it's really mindless. You go from marker to marker to marker until you get to the boss, and then you go to that marker, kill the boss, and then focus on the next type of marker. It took me around 7 hours to finish the main story, which in itself is half of the side content in the game, so I don't imagine it would take any longer to finish the whole thing 100%. And I suppose this wouldn't be a huge issue if the multiplayer was the big component in the game like it was meant to be, the main selling point and what the game focused on, with the campaign being secondary. But it's not good, it's marginally worse and empty. But we could talk about multiplayer in a bit. I still have some more campaign to go over. As the player, you have a set of skills. You have firearms, strength, explosives, agility, and driving, which slowly level up as you use the skills. You collect orbs from enemies that you kill, and you slowly improve. So if you hit people a lot, then you get more strength abilities. The same as if you shoot people, you get better at doing it. But it didn't take long before I found out ramming people with a car is the most effective way to take anyone down. I was pumping hundreds of bullets into people, but one nudge with my car and bam, everyone's dead. I don't know if this was intentional or if they just don't care about balancing their game, but I'm not complaining. It helped me plow through this thing so quickly. Then I found once you unlock the gun with rockets, you simply use that too and just fuck everyone up. And although it's broken to shit and totally unbalanced and makes everything else in the game completely useless, I loved it. And there was something so satisfying about firing my rockets into a crowd of enemies and watching them all explode. But then again, had I paid $60 for that pleasure, I might be a tad more pissed. So for the most part, the game was easy. Some bosses presented a challenge, but nothing an epic gamer like me couldn't handle. Okay, this is getting a little bit tough now. Fuck. Okay, this time I'm sure we can fuck. Alright, you better not fuck me up this time. Fuck! Alright, come here, you little fucker. That's right, you best fuck off now. The fuck? Alright, here we go. Is that a fucking jet? Fuck this! No! We're gonna... Fuck! Haha, here we go. Got you this time. Fuck you. Fucking did you. I don't feel satisfied now. But overall, the campaign was a pretty nice background experience. I wasn't really focusing on it, I was actually listening to paedophile hunter videos in the background whilst mindlessly blowing shit up. There's something incredibly satisfying about hearing a man's life fall to pieces in front of him, especially when he planned to touch children. But that's not really relevant.
I'm just here to have a nice day at the pub with my wife.
All in all, I'd say if you have Xbox Game Pass and you have no games to play and you want to listen to some podcasts, download the campaign of Crackdown 3. Smash through it on a Sunday or something when you're lazing around, get the achievements and have a bit of mindless fun. If you don't have Game Pass, don't get this game because it's far too little for the price tag. Just move on and play anything else. This is one of the only times I'd recommend Ubisoft games. Although they're mindless and shit, if you want mindless shit, Ubisoft offers high quality AAA feeling mindless shit rather than Xbox 360 overpriced mindless shit. So what I'm saying is, play Far Cry New Dawn instead. Or don't, and play anything better than both of these. Anything. Pac-Man. Anything. Oh yeah, the multiplayer. Yeah, it's right. The game takes too long to set up, it's laggy as shit in terms of frame rate and the servers themselves. This is the only place with the full destructibility advertised around the start of Crackdown 3's marketing, and it's pretty shit anyway, so they really threw that one out. There's only 2 game modes, and everyone's just flying about doing nothing. They didn't even try. It's really fucking bad. Really bad. And there are no redeeming qualities. Just stay away from this multiplayer. It's easily one of the very worst multiplayers I've ever played, and it feels like back when Xbox first launched Xbox Live, and you had these weird, low-budget online games on the arcade marketplace trying to get a piece of the action, except this is a Microsoft first-party exclusive, so fuck. Overall, Crackdown 3 is just fine if you downloaded it on Game Pass. It's fucking awful if you paid full price, and so I feel that's the issue. Although partly my criticism comes down to the game not offering a lot, it's very shallow and short and the multiplayer sucks, what it does do, it does in a way that's pretty fucking fun, and you could lose yourself fucking around him for a few hours. But mainly my issue comes from the price tag. This game doesn't feel like a $60 AAA 2019 Xbox first party exclusive. Just look at Sony. The equivalent of this from Sony is Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon, Uncharted, The Last of Us, Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, Detroit Become Human, and so many more. They're all $60 AAA 2019 PS4 first party exclusives. And when you look at it that way, or just again third party games on either console, Crackdown 3 doesn't stand a chance. It feels like a good Xbox 360 game from the start of its life cycle. It feels like Crackdown 1, and not much more. Fairly fun, but not a game that should have come out in 2019. The last thing I'll say to back up my point is imagine after Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto 5, Rockstar's next game comes out and it plays, looks like, and has the content of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. As much as we all love that game, it's a product of its time, not a product of current times, and the same goes for Crackdown 3. And it's a shame.